So we're going to talk about the theory of remediation by J. Bolter and Richard Grusin. As an illustration of this theory, let's take a look at these Paleolithic elephants drawn on a cave wall 10,000 years ago. So Bolter and Grusin would say that this has some problems. It's awfully hard to go and look at these elephants without having a reproduction of the cave. We're looking at a photograph of the cave wall, not the actual cave wall. So under the theory of remediation, new media fix a problem of an older media. So let's look at an example of that. Here's a drawing that Rembrandt and Rins made in 1637. And it's on paper, so one problem that it fixes is that it's very transportable. Rembrandt could easily walk around and show this drawing to many different people. He went on to make an etching, a reproduction of this drawing, and then he was able to sell many different versions of this same drawing to a number of people. So Bolter and Grusin would say that the drawing remediates the problem of the cave being a static place. You have to go in it to see the artwork. The paper is transportable. And the print remediates the problem of the drawing. There's only one copy of the drawing, but multiple copies of the print. Rembrandt can sell many versions of those. So we have this fixing of some of the problems of the older media. And here's another example of a newer media fixing a problem of an older media. So here's a photograph of elephants at a watering hole. Looking at this image, you may think for the very first time, oh, now I'm seeing real elephants. This is what elephants are really like. So how do we experience that? Well, there's more detail. You can see all of the textures and wrinkles and folds in the elephant's skin. There's many different elephants drinking at different stages of drinking, so we have some idea of how elephants drink. They suck the water with their tusk, and then they put their trunk. They suck up the water with their trunk, then they squirt the water into their mouths. So this image fixes a problem of the drawing. It gives us even more information about what elephants are like. And in fact, for the first time, you may have this feeling, as I mentioned already, of, oh, now I'm seeing what elephants are really like. So Bolter and Grusin call this transparency. And under the theory of remediation, the fixing of older media by new media leads to greater transparency. We don't see the photograph, we just see the elephants. So the photograph becomes, in effect, transparent to us. You can focus solely on the subject of elephants. So let's look at another example of remediation and greater transparency. Here's a video of some elephants.
Which will change your mind.
So,
an elephant family
looking at this video, you can see what elephants are like when they move. You can see what their environment is like. You can see an elephant, and you can also hear some of the elephant sounds. So we have even greater transparency. We fix the problem of static media because we now have movement, time. The greater hypermediation leads to transparency. So greater remediation leads to greater transparency. But Bolter and Grusin say that there's yet another problem, another part of their theory. When we start to experience too many forms of media at once, we lose the transparency, and instead we experience hypermediation. So right now you can see the cave art and Rembrandt's drawing and the photograph of the elephants at the watering hole and a videotape of a family of elephants, and you're also watching me and listening to me. So rather than feeling like you are now watching elephants, you may set this sense that, oh, I'm watching too much media. I can't deal with the sound and emotion and all these different forms of input. So this is hypermediation, many media. And hypermediation destroys the transparency. So, just to recap one more time, Jay Bolter, Richard Gruson, proposing their theory of remediation, that new media forms trying to fix problems of older media forms. And this leads to transparency. We have more and more the sense of looking through the media and seeing the subject, up to a point. But then, too much media, too much mediation leads to hypermediation. We lose the transparency, and we become all too aware of media.
And the ball kicks out again. But this is controlled aggression. It could inflict real damage if you want. The baby surprise are heard by other relatives. The cavalry arrive.